Yeah, pause YouTube. How's it going, everybody? Got for you guys today another post-narrated Showdown replay, and this is actually in Pokebank OU, which is why you're seeing all this crazy new stuff like Hoopa, Jirachi, Landorus, Genesect, what else? I think that's all really it, right? Yeah. Rotom, I guess, too. But yeah, this was a really good game I got the other night, and of course, anytime I do decide to upload a post-narrated replay that I had, you can definitely believe it was a good match, and this match is very, very good as it came down to the wire. So if you look at my opponent's team, he kind of has a balanced base team because he has walls in the form of Jirachi, Landorus, and Toxapex, and potentially this Tapu Bulu depending on what kind of set is. As where I am running a more of an aggressive variant of team since it is more hyper offensively based. So from matchup, Mamoswine obviously is an absolutely terrifying monster that I'm gonna have to watch out for. Tapu Bulu on his side, depending on what kind of set it is, will determine on how I can deal with it. And this Hoopa also could be a giant issue because, as we all know, in Oras, Hoopa was banned because Hoopa was banned because of just how insanely powerful it could hit, and then Jirachi could very well just be a supportive set from looking at his team. But on my side of the field, Landorus literally just destroys his entire team except for this Mamoswine. Aegislash could also put in a lot of work once this Toxapex is weakened and this Hoopa Unbound is brought into Shadow Sneak range. But yeah, going into this match, I knew that my Landorus and my Aegislash were going to be pretty crucial in this match, and I definitely have to watch out for his Mamoswine. But yeah, I'm leading off with my Necrozma, expecting him to want to lead off with either Jirachi or his Landorus. Not worried about him leading off with Hoopa because he's most likely just going to want to get up his rocks right away. As we both get up our rocks turn 1, he's going to crit flinch me turn 2, and then flinch me again as I'm staying in hopes to be able to get off a Thunder Wave on him, or if he wants to U-turn into Hoopa Unbound, I can T-Wave that on the switch-in because Hoopa is really his only safe switch-in to my Necrozma, as he's going to go for the Iron Head. I was very positive that he would just keep going for Iron Head, thinking that I would want to stay in. Plus, I can always Moonlight later with my Necrozma. As he's going to U-turn out, I decided to go for the Flash Cannon here on the off chance that he wanted to bring in his Hoopa Unbound or his Tapu Bulu, but no, he does make the safe switch into his Toxapex, and I guess I should have expected this. Unfortunately, I get a bit of a crit, but I don't really think that ends up mattering in the long run of this match. As he goes for the recover, I will be able to take this opportunity to go for a modest max special attack, Life Orb, Sheer Force, Focus Blast, which can actually 2 KO Landorus here depending on his spread. Unfortunately though, I miss, and now I don't know if this is choiced, if this is potentially Rocky Helmet, but I do know he's not leftover, so I can switch into my Rotom as he's going to end up going for the U-turn, doing a decent little bit of damage to us. He's going to bring in the Hoopa. Again, I have no safe switch-ins to this Hoopa, so I'm gonna bring in my Tapu Bulu basically as death fodder, or if he was specially offensive as he is here, I can easily take something that is not Psyshock and then go from there. As he goes for the Dark Pulse, he is going to be forced out here, as I believe I end up going for the Woodhammer, expecting him to want to bring in the Jirachi or even bring in the Landorus, as I do a clean 45% to this Jirachi. I'm going to be forced to switch out here, obviously because he can go for the Iron Head. So as I bring in my Aegislash, we're back into our earlier scenario of where should I Shadow Ball or should I go for the Flash Cannon. So he is going to go for the U-turn. I guess I could have maybe gone for the King Shield, but it really wouldn't have benefited me any at all, as I believe I do Shadow Ball this time, predicting him to want to bring in the Toxapex, as that does a pretty good amount of damage. So if I can wear down Toxapex a little bit more, I may actually be able to 2 KO him, as he ends up making a bit of an over prediction here and going for the Scald, as I did expect him to be more aggressive and not want to go for the recover, knowing that he could live another hit. That is why I did go for the Shadow Ball, as he did go for the Scald, and now I can easily go for another Shadow Ball or even go for the King Shield if I really wanted to, as he does make a rather aggressive switch into the Hoopa, maybe thinking that I would not go for another offensive move and maybe thought that I would go for the King Shield. so I guess that isn't too bad of a switch in. Regardless though, I'm able to get off a good amount of damage on this Hoopa, which is really great. The only downside is that I don't know if Shadow Sneak will be able to knock him out here, so what I am going to do is decide to go for the King Shield as he brings in the Landorus, and I'm very positive that he is going to want to end up going for the U-turn here, or maybe going for the knockoff. So I make a very bad play, and I stay in thinking that I could easily live an Earthquake if he did go for it, but above all I thought he would knock off or U-turn, and I just get destroyed. So I'm going to bring in my Landorus. I don't have HP Ice on this Landorus, so I know that he's going to be fearing me going for that move. So what I'm going to be able to do here is go for a Focus Blast, expecting him to either want to bring in the Jirachi here or even the Hoopa. And as long as I don't miss Focus Blast, whatever comes in should actually just die. If it doesn't get knocked out by Focus Blast, I just knock it out with any one of my other moves. So I'm going to go for the modest Focus Blast and destroy this Mamoswine, which is really good because that is one giant threat out of the way. So in comes Tapu Bulu. I'm thinking, okay, he probably thinks I don't have Sludge Wave. I'm modest, max special attack, Life Orb with Sheer Force. This is 4 times super effective. This Tapu Bulu is just dropping. Like, it's just going to die. It's not going to be around here after turn 17. This thing is going to drop. Landorus is going to put in so much work in this match. He's Scarfed. He turns out to be Scarfed Tapu Bulu, and I just die. I just die. Either he's Scarfed or he was Jolly Max Speed, because I was modest, so I'm guessing if he was Jolly Banded, he outsped me. But regardless though, he's able to outspeed me, knocks out my Landorus, and I'm going to be able to U-turn out on this Jirachi into my Rotom. And here I really have no reason to not just go for the Will-O-Wisp or go for the Volt Switch. But expecting him to want to leave in the Jirachi, I actually end up going straight for the Hydro Pump. There was also the possibility that he could have brought in Hoopa there, but I end up knocking him out with the Hydro Pump. Whether that crit mattered or not, the crit didn't matter if I would have hit my Focus Blast earlier in the match. Plus, it's a Landorus, I'm a Rotom, it's stabbed, super effective. I highly doubt that he would have been able to live that Hydro Pump. So down goes the Landorus, as back comes the Hoopa. This is okay though, because at this point I don't really need Rotom. Like, the rest of my Pokemon can deal with Jirachi and deal with Toxapex, which right now are only the 2 real issues that I have with his team, because with Hoopa being so low, if he doesn't knock me out here, I'll put him in range of where I can just revenge kill him. So he's gonna go for the Side Shock. I am able to just barely survive, and I will be able to Volt Switch, bring this Hoopa low enough to the point where he cannot live Stealth Rock. So I'm very positive that he's just gonna leave it in here for Death Fodder. Above that, there's really no reason for me to not just U-turn. Like, it's really by far my best play to go for. But he's gonna bring in the Toxapex as I get a crit again. I don't know if that crit really mattered, because he still would have been able to live this Psychic from my Necrozma regardless. So he is going to be forced out here, obviously not wanting to take the move. I am going to take this opportunity to hopefully just be a little bit aggressive. And I also thought that maybe he would want to bring in the Tapu Bulu. This way I could gauge to see how much damage the Psychic did. Although I guess I could have just gone straight for the T-Wave as well. That wouldn't have been too bad of a play. But if he did try to bring in a Hoopa, then he could have potentially dodged and knocked me out if he did live Rocks, which I don't think he did. I don't think he did live Rocks, but regardless there, I'm going to be able to finally T-Wave this Jirachi, and I'm going to be a little bit dumb here, and I stay in and I try and spam Psychic in hopes to just kind of wear him down a little bit, but he finally ends up U-turning, which has me thinking maybe he doesn't have the Wish, as he ends up getting a free switch into this Tapu Bulu. I basically have to choose something to just die, but luckily I do have Rotom here, which is going to get knocked out by the rocks, as I can get a free switch back into my Genesect. I will be able to take this opportunity to safely go for the U-turn, as he's going to decide to sack off his Hoopa. Honestly, that's not that big of an issue, because I can still U-turn on whatever he decides to bring in. As he brings in the Toxapex, I am ever so slowly wearing this giant nuisance down, and I end up making another questionable play. And instead of bringing in my Necrozma, what I should have done was brought in my Tapu Bulu, because at this point the Toxapex is only at 61%, sorry. So I could have brought in my Tapu Bulu and gone for the Wood Hammer and had a much better chance to knock him out with said Wood Hammer. But unfortunately I brought in Necrozma and I get Toxic, so expecting him here to bring in the Jirachi, I'm going to pull a double switch into my Genesect as he does bring in the Jirachi. Also, I guess he could have brought in Tapu Bulu, which still would have been good for us. Regardless though, I will be able to just safely U-turn. This time, I'm going to bring in my Tapu Bulu, and if I had brought it in earlier, I would have been in a much better scenario because this Toxapex wouldn't have been at as high HP as it is now. Regardless though, I'm still adamant max attack Tapu Bulu. I'm still gonna go for Wood Hammer, and I'm gonna 2-hit KO whatever he decides to switch in, or if he leaves in the Toxapex and he doesn't go for the recover, it's gonna get 2-hit KO'd. So he's actually gonna bring in the Jirachi, and that is going to straight drop. Even if he had Protect at this point, it will not be able to save him, and Wood Hammer will be able to knock him out. So at this point, I don't need Tapu Bulu. All I needed Tapu Bulu was to be able to knock out one more member on his squad. So he's going to bring in his Tapu Bulu, easily able to knock me out with the Wood Hammer. I'm still in a bit of a bad scenario because my Necrozma is toxic. So his Toxapex, depending on his spread, could still very well win him this match. So as I bring in my Genesect, regardless, I am going to be forced to go for the U-turn as he brings in the Toxapex. I'm going to be able to bring in my Necrozma. Now, I'm at a very, very low amount of HP. So I have two plays I can make here. I can go for the Psychic and risk him going for Scald and just constantly wearing down my Necrozma, or I can make a very, very risky play in Moonlight and bank on the fact that he's not going to switch directly into his Tapu Bulu, because that would be a very unnecessary play for him to make at this point in the match. Because with my Necrozma being on a timer, he should be thinking that I'm just going to be aggressive and go for the Psychic. That's why I'm actually going to take this chance to go for the Moonlight, very positive in the fact that he wouldn't risk bringing in Tapu Bulu. And now I'm in a scenario of where I can just Psychic. Like, I can literally just click Psychic here and not lose anything by doing so. And he makes a very bad misplay here, switches into the Tapu Bulu, which is just going to get rocked by this Psychic. And at this point, I could very well win this match. I'm still toxic, but it's okay because I can switch in and out between Genesect and this and keep resetting the toxic turn damages, and all while he is being forced to waste his recovers. And then above that, I'm risking him potentially get critted or get Spadef dropped by the Psychic. So I'm gonna go for my Psychic here, get off a good amount of damage, as unfortunately for him, I get the first turn Spadef drop, but I did 64% to him. So eventually, I'm pretty positive that I would have been able to beat him 1v1 with Necrozma. Even if I didn't, I could have just Moonlighted, and then I have Genesect to switch in and out against it to still be able to beat it. And then the man decides to complain in chat about me getting that Spadef drop because he obviously didn't get any hacks on me. But yeah, guys, I still think this was a really, really good match, and I hope you guys did enjoy. And if you did, then make sure to hit the like button down below. And with that being said, I will see you all tomorrow. So let everybody, thank you all for watching.
Because my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hope.